What's up? My name is Anthony. This is my first official video that I'm going to be posting. I've posted some others in the past. I mean, I've recorded others, but I never put them up. Today I'm going to be talking about UFC 133, which was in Philadelphia on Saturday. I was there. Awesome experience. A couple things I wanted to talk about the card. First and foremost, the crowd. You should have just saved your money and gone to boxing, because literally every time, as soon as the fight hit the ground, 5 seconds later the fans were booing. I remember Dennis Hallmans had Brian Esperol's back, and the fans are booing, stand him up, during a submission battle. Same thing with Jorge Rivera and that, I don't even remember the guy's name he fought. Some Italian guy in Matt Serra's team. But that was just absolutely ridiculous. Another thing that really gets to me, it happens, it wasn't only in Philly, it happens all the time, is whenever a non-American is fighting an American, you hear the USA chants, which I think is just completely blasphemy that they could do that to a guy. It's not the Olympics. It's not the World Cup you're watching. It's two guys fighting. I remember back, I remember the UFC, I was watching it though, BJ Penn and GSP1, there were USA chants. They wouldn't do that now. What got to me even more was after the Gustafsson fight, after he finished Hamill, he kicked his ass, destroyed him. The fans start booing the guy as he's walking around with his hand raised. I think I was one of the only ones cheering. Which leads me into the next thing, is Matt Hamill, which I'm shocked about, actually, announced his retirement. Now, this is the first time in his career, I believe, that he's lost 2 fights in a row. I remember when he first came off The Ultimate Fighter, he was on somewhat of a tear, a couple fight winning streak, and then of course he got that bullshit end of the decision with the Bisping fight in England, which really upset me. After that he went on a couple more win streak, won a couple more fights, and then he fought John Jones, who we all know absolutely destroyed him, but got DQ'd for the illegal elbow. But then even after that, he strung together a couple more wins, and I think this was the first time that he was actually put out. I remember Franklin dropped him with, I think, what was a body punch. But yeah, I'm really impressed with Gustafsson. Shocked that Hamill decided to retire. I think he still had a couple more fights in him. He was only 10-4. I don't know how old he is, but I saw him Saturday morning at the hotel, and he was one of the biggest guys there. There's no way. He was 205 pounds. He was huge. So I'd just like to take the opportunity and thank Matt Hamill for so many entertaining fights. I think he still could fight more, but more respect to him for getting out when he knows it's his time. Much respect, Matt, and thank you for all the years. Another thing, which I'm actually really happy about, is Jorge Rivera. I've been following this guy a very long time. He's not really that great, but for some reason I just always found myself cheering for him. I would never cheer against him. He decided that he's still going to fight. Now, that decision, don't really understand, because he's been toying with retirement for a couple of years now. In fact, I think on Sherdog I read the other day that he was contemplating retirement for the first time 7 years ago. So I'm glad that he's back. I really hope that he gets another shot at Bisping, because that illegal knee was just absolute fucking bullshit. And if you watch the Charles Oliveira and Nick Lentz fight, that was switched to a no contest because of the illegal knee, in which Oliveira won after the knee, and I think he won with a rear naked choke. But if that fight was able to be switched, then I think that Jorge Rivera has a definite, legitimate case. Bisping clearly did it on purpose, so I'd love to see Rivera get another shot at that, and I'd love to actually see him fight Alessio Sakara. The first time that they announced this fight, I remember telling all my friends, yo, Jorge Rivera is going to knock out Alessio Sakara. I think that Sakara may have a weak chin. It's been questioned several times in the past. I think that Sakara, I'm not saying he's afraid of him, but I mean, this is 3 times now they tried to book the same fight, and 3 times now the same guy has backed out. Rivera said it perfect when he said it's going to be hard to get up for that fight again, not knowing if at the last minute Sakara is going to back out. I'd like to see what the future holds for Jorge. I think he probably has 1, maybe 2 more fights left, which I'll be ecstatic to see. It's like I said, he's one of my favorite fighters. Very entertaining to watch. Another thing about the event that there's a whole uproar about now, which I could understand, is the underwear that Dennis Hallmans wore, which Dana White even came out and said that they were borderline disgusting. It even made AOL, the homepage of AOL News. I really don't see what the big deal is. Not to compare, but WWF, WCW, TNA, whatever, they all wear tights just like that. Is it because they don't have big boots that makes it a problem? Although that's fake and not a real fight. But another thing that that bothers me about it is Carlos Newton. I don't know how long a lot of people are watching, but I think he's retired now. He's wore those tights for a very long time, and there was never an uproar about that. So I don't understand what that's all about. I think Esperol, I was very impressed with him. This is only his 2nd fight in the UFC, and he's not that young, actually. I remember he destroyed Chris Lytle, and now he just made quick work at Dennis Hallman. I'd like to see who they could match him up against next. And then lastly, another guy has decided against retirement, and his name is Fedor Emelianenko, which I think is a joke. He announced yesterday that his next fight is going to be just strictly under the M1 global banner, and it's going to be in Russia, so you know what that means. Fedor is going to come out, he's going to destroy some no-name Kenton, and they're going to use that to say, oh, Fedor's back, Fedor's back. Well, Fedor will be back if you put him in with any can. If you put him in with a top elite fighter in the big leagues of the UFC or even Strikeforce, you see what happens. Fedor gets his ass kicked. Never bought into his hype, and I think this is why he never signed with the UFC. That's why they demanded everything. The 50% co-promotion, all the money. It's just because they wanted to milk as much money out of the UFC as they can. And it's a shame. It's actually a real shame that we couldn't ever get to see him in the UFC, because I think there's guys in the UFC that would absolutely destroy Fedor. Junior Dos Santos, I think that would be a 1-round fight. He would absolutely decimate Fedor. Same thing with Cain Velasquez. Maybe I could see Fedor making that a fight, but I think at the end, Cain Velasquez still wins that fight as well. Chael Sonnen, if he ever wanted to fight heavyweight, I think he would destroy him. I know I'm going to get heat for this. As you can see, I'm not very much of a Fedor fan, but yeah, I was very happy for Dan Henderson. I just love seeing Fedor get exposed. Fabricio Verdum exposed him. Actually, no, Brett Rogers is the first one too. Then Verdum, then Bigfoot Silva. I mean, all these guys are just better, and we're not in Japan anymore, Fedor, so you can't really have your fixes in or your hand-picked tomato cans, but you can now back in Russia, so best of luck with that. And finally, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Give me a second while I think about it. UFC 134 is just a couple weeks away. And before that, we have another one of my favorite fighters, Ben Smooth Henderson, is fighting Jim Miller, which I personally think should be the main event. I think that's going to be fight of the night, possibly fight of the year. And what really bothers me is that everyone is overlooking Ben Henderson. They're talking about Jim Miller getting a title shot if he wins, which if he does, he deserves. Jim Miller is an awesome fighter. I saw him fight Chalarus at 128 in Jersey. Just destroyed him. Jim Miller, he's the real deal. And to be honest with you, I think he could handle Frankie Edgar. And if not, then he gets a rematch with Gray Maynard this time. So we'll see what happens with that. But by far, I would not be shocked if Ben Henderson pulls this one off. Ben Henderson is he's another awesome fighter. He's a great guy. Really impressed with him, and it really bothers me that people are writing him off. And I think the world's going to be in for a surprise. I think it's this Sunday coming up. So that'd be great. And another thing I can't wait for is for Shogun to hopefully get his revenge and avenge his loss on Forrest. Really nervous about that fight. It's just going to be an awesome fight. Anderson Silva, Yushin Okami, the rematch. We all know that Yushin won by DQ. I think it was in Cage Rage or something in England. But the one thing that gets me nervous is that Yushin's been training with Chael, is wrestling. But at the same time, I've said after the Vitor Belfort fight that I'm done. I'm just done trying to believe into the hype, trying to hype up fighters, hype myself up and say, oh, this guy has this chance, he could do this, he could do that. No, I don't think anyone's going to beat Anderson Silva for a very long time. Now that Vitor knocked out Akiyama with shots to the back of the head again, which is seemed to be Vitor's trademark. I love him, but I just think that's bullshit. Mario Yamasaki was right there. That should be switched to a DQ. But I still think Anderson would beat Vitor again. I really do. I don't think anyone's going to beat Anderson for a long time. I remember his first title defense, I believe, was against, it wasn't against Nate Marquardt. It was either against Nate Marquardt or Travis Lutter, which Lutter didn't make weight. And in the pre-fight, Anderson Silva, in his other language, of course, said that he was going to be champion for many years. At the time, I hated him. I didn't like him. I thought he was cocky, and I was also a Rich Franklin fanboy at the time. But he was right. Anderson Silva is the man. And to speak of that, the other day, during the Strikeforce fight, the Henderson and Fedor, I think it was either Gus Johnson or it was Mauro Ronaldo, said that Fedor was the Michael Jordan of mixed martial arts, which I think is just absolutely bullshit. If I think of the Michael Jordan of mixed martial arts, I'm thinking of someone who has amazing cardio. I'm thinking of someone who's great on the ground. I'm thinking of someone who has pretty good takedown defense, and I'm thinking of someone who's awesome in the clinch, great conditioning, and terrific on the stand-up. Who do you have when you put all them together? Unfortunately, it may take a lot of heat or not, but you have Anderson Silva. He could also take a punch. He took Dan Henderson's punches flush during one of the scrambles, and it didn't faze him at all. So I'd love to see Anderson Silva and Shogun fight. I don't think that'll ever happen. That's it. Also really impressed with Rashad. Tito was no slouch, and Tito looked good for about 2 minutes, and he took Rashad down, and that must have woken him up because Rashad just dominated from then on out of the fight. I'm still proud to say that Tito still hasn't gone unconscious. So we'll see what's next for Tito. Maybe that fight with Little Nog, like they were supposed to have. Maybe a fight with Vladimir. Who knows? Really impressed with Alex Gustafsson. Can't wait to see him fight again. And overall, just a lot of bright days ahead as far as fights come in the UFC and in Strikeforce. I'm longing for the day that Gilbert Melendez fights again and then makes his way into the UFC. So I think Gilbert Melendez may be the greatest lightweight in the world. I think he's better than Frankie. I think he's better than Gray. I think he's also better than Melvin Gillard, who's also coming up the ranks now all of a sudden. So we'll see. There's a lot of good fights that you could match up now. That's that. Thanks for watching. You could leave comments, talk shit about me. That's fine. If you like it, subscribe. I'll be making other videos about this, talking about professional wrestling as well, which I don't even have the stomach to right now. And as well, a bunch of other crap too. So just